Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Gonna do another Euros predictions. Last time was more of a preview, kind of familiarizing myself with the squads. Basically, just kind of almost going through a big brain session of figuring out which teams I like, figuring out which ones I like less. Now, gonna actually put pen to paper. Gonna start making some predictions here. I filled out my tables, filled out how I think each game will unfold, all the results, all that good stuff. We have a watch along later on the TIFO platform if you are familiar with anything I'm doing on the Irish Hotspur. So please follow us over there for the first ever Euros game. We're looking forward to this, everybody. It's that part of the summer. Get to kick back, relax. Euros games are on. Copa America up soon as well. It's a great time to be a football fan. I'm going to get straight into this. If you can for me, please, everybody, subscribe if you haven't. If maybe you forgot to subscribe, maybe you unsubscribed at one stage, that would be a great service to me. If you can as well, smash the like button and get your comments in. But I'm going to get straight into these predictions here, everyone. And Group A, I have gone for Germany as the winner, Hungary as the second, third, Switzerland, fourth, Scotland. I'm going to break that down for you here, game by game, actually. In fact, the first game between Germany and Scotland, I don't anticipate Germany to actually beat Scotland that heavily. In fact, I'm not that confident in Germany in this game. I just think with host teams, they usually will themselves to a win. They can play quite terribly, but they'll still find a way to pick up all 3 points or pick up a good result. So that's what I expect to happen here tonight. If you were a gambling person or a betting person, I would go for some type of score result for Scotland, either like a +2 or something like that, because I just don't expect Scotland to be losing by too much in this first game. At least that's how I feel about it. And then in their next game, which is against Hungary, I think, have Germany's number. They had their number in the last Euros tournament. They've been a good team against a very progressive on the front foot type of style of teams. And I just think they've done a very good job on the counterattack, this Hungarian team. And I expect them to cause Germany problems. They did in the last tournament. They have in the past, even in friendly games. I don't remember too many games where Germany ended up beating even this Hungary side. So I'm going to say that they end up dropping points there. And then in the final game for Germany would be against Switzerland. And against Switzerland, I just don't think the Swiss are strong enough to be able to beat the Germans. And if they did drop points against Hungary, like I expect the Germans to, they will be desperate to pick up 3 more points to make it easier and more convincing for themselves. So Germany, 7 points, one of the favorites to win this tournament. I'm not too confident in them, though. Good to see you, Nick Knack. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. We also have with Hungary, I think they could end up being one of the dark horses of this tournament. They impressed me last time, a solid defensive team. They played like a version of like a 4-4-2, and it was very effective. They were good on the counterattack. Let me look at some of the players that I think that I would mention that I think could help them. They have a solid defense. That's part of the reason I like them. They have guys like Martin Darda, you have Hertha Berlin, Milos Kerkez from Bournemouth, Willie Orban, who's been a solid international them for over the years, Attila Szalai, who's a young player at Hoffenheim, very talented defender. I think they have a lot of experience in that back line and guys who play at a decently high level. And then Peter Gulacsi, while he is getting very old, I do think he's probably still good enough to be a good defensive goalkeeper. I don't think he's good with his feet. I don't think he's good at rushing out. But if you are going to play with every man behind the ball, I think this Hungarian team could actually be, a surprise factor. Then you look further up the pitch, you have Dominik Szoboszlai, of course, who's been very good for them. He's one of those guys who does play well for the national team. And then up top, they have somebody who I'm interested in, whether he will be a performer for them. They have Barnabas Varga for Ferencváros. He scored 20 goals and 3 assists in the league, and then 2 goals and 1 assist in the Conference League, which isn't too shabby. And then they have Roland Szalai as well for Freiburg, who I think has been a good player for them in the past, has been good in their international fixtures. So I'm going to say that Hungary end up finishing second. And in their games, their first game is against Switzerland. I just don't expect them to lose that to Switzerland. They're either going to draw or they're going to win. I just don't envision them losing it. Like I said, I expect them to pick up some type of result against Germany. And then afterwards, it would be against Scotland. And against Scotland, I could see them drawing it again, maybe like Hungary. I just think some way or another they could find themselves over the line against Scotland. I just don't see them conceding to the Scots. And just don't see them conceding, and maybe they'll nick a goal. And that's how I think they'll be this tournament. They'll be a team that I don't expect to concede a lot, and they will keep games tight within reaching distance, and they could be the surprise factor of this group. I just don't rate Switzerland as much. I looked at their team up top. I'm not that impressed. You look at some of their players like Shaqiri, who's well past it. Guys like Breel Mbolo has never really reached the potential that he should have. Ruben Vargas hasn't been a great player for Augsburg. Steven Zuber is very old now. You have Renato Steffen, very old. It's just a lot of old players in this team. And Zeki Mduni, I like. He's young, but I'm not sure how much of an effect he really will be. It's just up to Granit Xhaka and kind of Dennis Zakaria to carry them through this tournament. They have good goalkeepers and Kobel as well as Jan Sommer, Kanji and Fabian Schär, good defenders. It's just not a great team, I think, the Switzerland team. The Scots, the only reason I think they'll finish below is because of their defense. I don't rate their defense. They don't have a good goalkeeper. Angus Gunn, Xander Clark, Liam Kelly. I don't really know which one of those is the best, but I don't rate any of those names. I don't know many of them. Andy Robertson and Kieran Tierney are good fullbacks, but they're more offensive, attacking fullbacks than they are defensive. And then Jack Hendry might be their most talented defender. The rest of their defenders are more kind of experienced, older guys who don't play at a super high level. And Jack Hendry was, I think, formerly their most talented, but now that he's moved to Saudi Arabia, just don't expect him to be a great player at this level, where he's been playing, just at a much worse level now. And coming into the Euros, I wonder if that will be a big shock to him. They've probably, weirdly enough, the second best midfield, dare I say, in this group. Scotland, I love their midfield. You have Callum McGregor, Ryan Christie, Billy Gilmore, John McGinn, Kenny McLean, Scott McTominay, Stuart Armstrong. I like that midfield. I think it's very solid. And if they were to surprise me, if they were to prove me wrong, it probably would be because of that midfield. And then up top, they have guys like Lewis Morgan, who's been having a good campaign in the MLS. Tommy Conway seems like a talented striker, but I'm not impressed by their goal scoring. Che Adams, Lawrence Shankland, it's not real high quality guys who are scoring goals in the best of leagues. So I worry about Scotland because they don't have a great defense. They don't have a great goalkeeper. I think you need to have a good defense and a good goalkeeper to go far into a tournament. And as well, they don't have probably a great attack either. So I just don't exactly rate the Scots in this tournament, me personally. I think this is a very tight group, Nick Knack, and I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being a lot closer in points or it goes to the final match day, something or another like that. So I wouldn't be surprised at all. But let's move swiftly into Group B here. Spain, I expect to be the strongest team. Group B, I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, but in their games, they'll be playing They'll be playing Croatia first. I just expect them to beat Croatia in that first game. I think it will be a close game. I wouldn't be surprised it ends up being a draw. It's just that Spain, I do feel like, are a stronger side. They have younger players, more dynamic players than Croatia. Croatia are more of a possession-based team, but they don't have as many different options as Spain will. So I think Spain, if it ends up being 0-0, 1-1 in the 80th minute or something, Spain can make substitutions. They can make changes. And I think they would be able to get over the line against Croatia. So I expect them to pick up 3 points there. Their game after that is against Italy. And I think that will be a closely contested game. Spalletti, a very good manager, against Spain's under-21s manager, who will be a bit out of his depth, I think, in this tournament. So I wonder if Spalletti might get his number, make them drop points there. And then in the final game against Albania, if Spain are desperate for points, I think they'll pick up a win there no matter what. Albania, weirdly enough, I'm troubled by them because they had a very good qualifying campaign, one that you can't really, you can't disregard, you can't look away at. But everybody has said that they're the worst team in this tournament, and to be honest, it's probably true. You look at their full squad; there's not really a ton of players in that team that I can say I'm very confident in, or I've even heard very much about. Just quickly, let me pull up some of the names. Of course, you have that guy Hisa from who was at Napoli, now at Lazio. Christian Aslani, good player for Inter Milan, but didn't get too many minutes this last season. And then Armando Broja, who of course is the Chelsea talent from their academy, but didn't get too many minutes either. I just don't think Albania are going to go very far, despite having a very good qualifying campaign. So it's a tough one for me. Will they surprise people? They kind of have, free hits, really. Why would they put very much pressure on themselves? I could expect an upset from them, but just to be basic, just to be standard, I don't expect them to be winning any of these games. They are in a very strong group. It's debatably the group of death outside of Albania. These three teams are all very evenly matched, very close together. But yeah, Spain, I expect to have an easier time against all these sides. Whereas Croatia and Italy, I'm torn between. I think any one of these could finish second. I'm not so confident that Italy will. I just think in their first game, they'll beat Albania. They'll find a 1-0, 2-0 win over Albania. And then in their second match, I think it's what's it against for Italy. It's against Spain. Like I said, I think Spalletti will pull off some type of result there. And then afterwards against Croatia, you could see them again getting a draw or something like that, a boring draw at the end. I just think Italy will be a boring team, an organized team, and they will get results when needed. And that could get them to 5 points, which could get them a second place finish. And then with Croatia, I just expect them to lose that first game. And if they lose the first game and Italy don't drop any points or don't lose any of their games, I just think that would then mean Italy would finish above them. Nick Knack saying they aren't the worst team in the tournament. That's Georgia, followed by Romania. Well, Nick Knack, you might hate some of my predictions later on when it comes to Georgia and as well as Romania. I'm sorry, we might disagree with each other, but the group be almost impossible for them to get out of. Yeah, I agree there. Albania have about a dozen players who play their trade in the Serie A. From what I could tell, let's look at Albania. Yeah, you have a guy for Lecce, a few players for Lecce, Sassuolo, Empoli, Atalanta. Yeah, they have Jimisti, of course. At Atalanta, he's a fine defender. And then they have Yeah, the goalkeeper situation I'm a little worried about, though, Nick Nack. Strakosha or Berisha. I'm not too sure which one they're going to be picking there. I think Berisha could be a talented goalkeeper, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I just don't know too much about this Albanian team. And that's a fair point that a lot of these guys are in the Serie A, which means they can defend really well, which I think that made them a good team in their qualifying campaign, right? Was that they were such a good defensive team. And seeing so many Serie A players in that would explain it. That's a good shout out, actually. But yeah, no, you're right. There are a few. There are a few in that team. That's a good shout out, Nick Knack. I appreciate that. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you for the comments as well. Thank you for being engaged in this chat so far. But yeah, that's my predictions for Group B, everyone. Let's move on to Group C and D. Sorry for this being backwards. Group C, I have England finishing top. Where I have them dropping points is against Netherlands in their second game, or not against Netherlands, against Denmark in the second game. With Denmark, I think they'll be a boring team that will also just get over the line, kind of like Italy, where they'll pick up a win in their first game against Slovenia, first game of the tournament. I see them winning that 1-0, 2-1, 1. Yeah, I just see them getting over the line somehow, Denmark. And then in this next game, because Denmark have so many players that have played in the Premier League or have played with English players, I think there's a connection there between the two teams. They're a hardworking side. They're not flashy. They'll be happy to sit behind the ball, put every guy, basically in front of their own net, in front of the goalkeeper. I could see them making life very difficult for this England team. I wouldn't be surprised if England beat Denmark convincingly. It's just that if England were to drop points at any stage in this group, I see it happening to Denmark in the second game. And you could see that Denmark could hurt them maybe on the counterattack with guys like Højlund. They also have Skov Olsen, Jakub Brun Larsen. They have a slightly better attack than maybe they had in other years. When it comes to Slovenia, I don't rate them too highly. I don't think they have that strong of a team. Of course, they have one of my favorite players of all time, Ilicic. Always been a big Ilicic fan. Never can go wrong there with that guy. But yeah, I just don't really rate too many players in that Slovenia side. I'm a little worried about them. I don't think they really have enough to really pose much of a threat to anybody. Jan Oblak, still one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Šeško, of course, but that team is really absent, I think, of any real quality throughout the side. It's just going to be up to Ilicic and Šeško to provide the goals and up to Oblak, I guess, to keep the goals out. When you look at Serbia, they're a team that have just let me down on so many occasions, Serbia. That's why I don't really know if I can be that confident in them. I've always been a big fan of them. So many players from Serbia I'm huge fans of. It's just that they've let me down plenty of times when I've tipped them to be the dark horses, plenty of times when I've tipped them to be a team to look out for. They've kind of fallen flat on their face. Same thing with Germany. It's why Germany, a team who I also kind of like rooting for, a team that I also am not filled with confidence by because they've let me down on a lot of occasions. But with Serbia, their strength is more in the attack. In the defense, I'm worried about them. Nikola Milenkovic is their best defender, who I don't rate that highly. And then Pavlovic is supposed to be an up-and-coming defender from Red Bull Salzburg. It's just that, yeah, I don't rate that defense too much. And then they don't have great goalkeepers to even pick from. I guess Petrovic would be one of them for Chelsea. It's just that, yeah, don't rate the goalkeeping options. It's more the strikers that are really, really talented. Sorry for the siren that's about to go by, everybody. Apologies about that. With Serbia, though, I expect them to lose the first game to England. I think England will come out strong. I understand that you guys are probably, some of you might be worried or skeptical about your team. I feel like you guys will come out strong, come out the gates. It seems like you always do. and you'll get at least a 2-0 win, I think, against Serbia, maybe a 2-1. Could be an exciting game, but I do think you will win. In Serbia's next game, they would be playing Slovenia. I expect them to get over the line there. And then in their third match should be against Denmark. And Denmark, I think, will be a tough team to score against, will be a tough team to score a lot of goals past. So I expect that to end in a draw. Big up to Derek Hutchinson. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I agree with you there, Nick Nack. Serbia are one of the most capped squads, so they will have tournament experience on their side. Listen, I want to root for the Serbs and I want to put them higher up here. It's just that they've let me down. I think when they've had experienced teams, they've had a lot of reasons to get behind them. They've fallen flat on their faces, either for coaching reasons, injuries have been a big factor for them in the past as well. And defensively, I don't think they've been that great in years gone by for me, Nick Nack. Big up, Jason Bell. Thanks for following over. Really appreciate your support for anything that I do, my man. I really appreciate you, Jason. Moving on to Group E here. Unless I haven't skipped a group, but I don't think I have. Have we? Yeah, Group C. Oh, I skipped Group D. That's what happened. France. I expect them to get 9 points. I think it will be pretty easy for them. They're stronger than all the rest of these teams. They get it done. They're not that pretty, France, but they know how to get the wins and they know how to advance. So I expect them to. I don't think they'll blow many teams away. They've never been that side to win 4 or 5-0. They usually just win 1-0, 2-1. 1-0 type of thing. So, yeah, that's what I expect France to be doing. Netherlands, what I found funny about their team was they're not that strong in attack. In years gone by, I think they have had strong attacks. It's more in the defense. They have such a strong defense. They have a good goalkeeping choices, or at least, talented goalkeepers to be picking from that are young. And they have a very, very good defense to pick from. Debatably, one of the best defenses. If you were to not include the goalkeeper in your defense, they probably have the best options. Van Dijk, they have De Vrij for experience, Van de Ven for young and up and coming, Daley Blind for experience, who had a great season at Girona. You have De Ligt, Nathan Ake, Denzel Dumfries, Lutaro Gatroida, Frimpong, Matson. You just have such a beautiful combination of solid defenders who are also very good on the ball, good in possession, some ones who are also good experience, who've had a lot of caps. Then you have other guys that are young and up and coming, talent mixed with good attacking fullbacks. It's just a very good defense, I think, Netherlands. So I expect them to not really be a dark horse or anything like that. I think it'd be silly to call them that, a dark horse type of team, but I think they might be better than they have in other tournaments. Who I expect to be their star player is going to be Xavi Simons. He's going to have to carry them if they expect it all to go deep into this tournament, because Memphis Depay, not the same player he once was. Daniel Malin never really achieved the potential that he was supposed to yet at Dortmund. Same thing you could say with Cody Gakpo. Love Cody Gakpo, but he hasn't exactly reached the potential they maybe should have at Liverpool so far. Wout Weghorst, a bit of a donkey. Brian Bobby, don't have much confidence in him. Steven Bergwijn, same thing. And then some of their other guys I don't really know much about, or are kind of going to probably not even be starters. So it's up to Tiani Reinders and as well as Xavi Simons to be the main go-to midfielders. They have solid 2 midfielders, and those guys really rate those guys. But Netherlands, I do expect to be the second strongest team. The thing is with Austria, I've heard that Austria are plenty of people's dark horses. I can't really see why. It's probably because of the coaching, and I think they've come into this tournament with really good form. I can understand that. I can get with that. It's just that I look at their squad on paper, and I don't really see very much here. I don't see a solid goalkeeper of any kind to be picking from. Their goalkeeper options are one at Union Saint-Gilloise. They have one at Brøndby, which I think is up in could be Denmark or something like that. They have one in Austria at Rapid Vienna. So 3 goalkeepers who are not playing at a very high level. You have Borussia Mönchengladbach, Stefan Leiner, who must be 40 years old and is still making the team. Max Werber, who's also at Mönchengladbach, but was a bit of a failed signing at Leeds, originally Red Bull Salzburg. Their best defender, at least in my opinion, is probably this guy, Kevin Danzo, who I have seen play before at Lens, and Lens are a good team. They have good defenders there. It's just that he's not exactly a very highly rated player, or at least very well known. Their best players are probably Marcel Sabitzer and Konrad Leimer for me, and then maybe Nicholas Zeiwald too. It's just that they don't have a lot of great attackers. Marko Arnautovic, Gregoric are probably their best chances of scoring a lot of goals. They're not going to score a lot of goals, but if they were to score any, it would come from Arnautovic or Gregoric, and then they're going to have to rely on just a hardworking midfield. Yes, they'll be at yes, they'll be a high pressing team. I just wonder if they'll be outclassed and outmatched by some of these other teams in there. If they were in a weaker group, if they were in a weaker Yeah, if they just had weaker opponents and in a weaker group, I think Austria would be a better candidate for being a dark horse or going, getting a second place finish. It's just that Netherlands, I expect to beat them. France, I expect to beat them. Um, and with Poland, I think Poland are probably one of the worst teams in this tournament. Moving quickly on to Poland, they're just going to be a team that's going to battle for a nil-nil in every single game. They're one of the most anti-football teams to watch, and their team is just getting weaker and weaker. There's not really a lot to get excited about. It feels like with Poland. Lewandowski, apologies for the siren, everybody. Lewandowski, a very talented player, we all know, but he's not the same that he once was. Their best chances, I think, are going to come from their midfield with guys like Szymanski, guys like Zielinski. Those are their best chances of being in any way a good team. But I expect them to roll over, and they're not going to be beat convincingly, but I expect them to be beat in almost every game. I just wonder if, with Chesney, who's getting older, you have guys like Bednarek, Kivior as their best choices for defenders. I don't see a lot of quality in that defense for Poland. In midfield, I see a bit more quality, and then up front, not too much quality either. I just worry about them. I'm not seeing too much from this Poland team, and I expect them to lose all games. I could see them making a team drop points because they've done that in the past where they make games really boring, really difficult, really dull, and then they just fumble themselves into a 0-0 sort of thing. I'm just not sure if that's going to happen this time around. But yeah, moving on into Group E. Group E, Belgium, I expect to win the majority of their games. And then Ukraine, I think, will be the dark horse of this tournament. It's either going to be the Itches or it's going to be the Yankos. Those are always my choices for the dark horses. And I've gone for the Ukrainians this time, the Yankos. The reason being is I think Ukraine have an even stronger team than the last time they found themselves in a World Cup or in a Euros. With Belgium, I think this is a weak enough group that they'll probably likely finish out. If I were to go to their games, in the first game, Belgium playing Slovakia, you expect Belgium to win it. In their second game against Romania, you also expect them to win. So that's 6 points already in the bag, at least what I expect them to get. And in their last game against Ukraine, maybe they won't have very much to play for if they were to get those first 6 points. Whereas Ukraine might, if they drop points in a game or something, they might be more desperate. So I could just see this either ending up in this last game as a draw or as a win for Ukraine. And then for Romania and Slovakia, I just don't think there's much between these two teams. And Romania have had probably a better qualifying campaign and just overall seem to be in better form than the Slovakians and Slovakians too. In the past, I just don't think they're very good. Going forward, they didn't really offer very much. It was kind of always just a very defensive team. They're one of the weakest, I think, on paper too. They have a good defender in Skriniar, right? But I'm trying to think who else do they even have in their side that I can rate. No Hamšík, of course, anymore, which is always a sad thing. Just a moment. Let me pull up their squad. Yep. David Hanchko and Skriniar, two very solid defenders together. Andre Duda, former Hertha Berlin midfielder. Juraj Kuchka, just a legend of that team. And then Stanislav Slabotka. Yeah, just they don't have any forwards to pick from, and none of them play at a high level. Their midfielders are okay. They have decent midfielders to pick from, and then okay center backs or good center backs, very good center backs to pick from. But yeah, just not confident in the Slovakia team to do very well. Romania, I just think with all the 0-0s and the 1-0s that they seem to pick up, perhaps they'll do it in the last game against Slovakia, or they might do it against another team in this tournament or in this group. And then with Ukraine, Ukraine should be the second best team by far. And then going deeper into the tournament, I think they might flex their muscles a bit. Going into Group F, Portugal, they should be winning all their games. For me, I think again it's a pretty weak group. You look at their first game against Czechia, just the first game, they'll want to flex their muscles. They'll want to be strong. They'll want to have a convincing win. In recent tournaments, I think they've scored a lot of goals as well. And with Roberto Martinez as the new coach, I think they might be opened up a bit more and they could have a bit more freedom to their game. So I could expect them to score some goals. Georgia, weirdly, are going to be my third place team. The reason being with Georgia is because they have nothing to play, or it's a win-win where they've made it to the tournament, they've made it this far, they have a relatively weaker group, so they're not going to just be completely just devoid of any confidence whatsoever. I wonder if there's a buzz in that camp and if they have some confidence in themselves and they have a good tall goalkeeper, Mamardashvili. They've been defending games recently pretty well where they keep the score line quite low, quite down. They're defensive first. They hit teams on the counter. They're happy to play without the ball. I wonder if this Georgian team will just catch people by surprise. They have secret talents, and this guy over at Watford, I haven't said his name before, but Georgi Chakvedadze, he's supposed to be good. I can't say his name at all well, but he's supposed to be a talented player. Of course, we know about Kvaratskhelia. And then there's supposed to be other secret hidden gems, I think, in this Georgian team that not many of us know about, but could end up being some breakout stars or just secretly good players in this team that could end up catching teams like the Czechs off guard and catch, the Portuguese off guard, or catch, I'm not sure about the Portugal. I expect them to lose to them, but they might catch the Turks off guard as well. The big prediction I made is the fact that Turkey will end up finishing the bottom. I just looked at their team and I wasn't that impressed, really. And in their games, they'll be playing, looks like Turkey will be playing Georgia first. In that first game, I just wonder if Georgia will battle it to a 0-0. That's my score prediction for that first game between Turkey and Georgia. I think it'll be a 0-0 or maybe even a 1-0 to Georgia. I'm not confident in them of getting a result somewhere. And then Turkey's game after that, if they don't get a result against Georgia that's favorable, they'll be playing Portugal, and I expect they will get I think they'll be smacked by Portugal. Then afterwards against Czechia, it's up to, it's anyone's game in that situation. And Czech Republic or Czechia is very close to Germany, as much as Turkey will pretty much have a home game advantage in almost every single game. Czechia is not far from Germany, especially if they're going to be playing in the southern regions. So it's not going to be very far away. So I wonder if there will be some solid Czech representation there. We know there will be Turkish representation, but I wonder if we'll get some Czech representation. Another thing to add is just this Turkish team. Like I said, not much confidence in them. I look at it with let me pull it up here. Their defense, nobody that I can really name. All their defenders play in the Super League, in the Turkish Super League. Their goalkeeper seems solid, but I'm not sure which one is even their first choice goalkeeper. Their midfielders are great. They have Çalhanoğlu, Kokcu, Güler, Özcan, Yusuf Yazici. I like their midfielders. And Akaturglu, the guy over at Galatasaray, I like their midfielders. It's just that I'm not confident in that defense. They haven't shown up in these games. They're a bit like Serbia, where every time we label them as a dark horse, they seem to fall flat on their face. I'm just making a bold prediction that that's going to happen again here with Turkey, with all the fans, with all the Turkish Germans there to watch them. I wonder if they're just going to fall flat on their faces and they're going to end up embarrassing themselves. That's just going to be my bold prediction in this one. And the Georgians, who have nothing to lose, it's a complete win-win for them being in this situation. I wonder if they'll catch people by surprise. So, I expect Georgia to finish third. Czech Republic, should I say? I just think maybe with guys like Schick, guys like Holocek, experienced players, Suchek, Barak, it's going to be a boring team, the Czechs. I think they're going to be a very boring team, but the fact that they have better strikers, better forwards, better scoring options than the rest of, I think, some of the teams other than Portugal, I think they'll find a way over the line. I worry about their defense, though, too. Their defenders, not a lot of great quality to really be picking from. So I do worry about that defense. It's between the Turkish defense and the Czech defense. Which one will be better? That would then probably determine which one of them's probably finish in the second place position. But there it is, everybody. Those are my predictions when it comes to the actual groups. When it comes to let me see, dark horses, I've gone for Ukraine. The reason being is I do think they have a much better attack than they have in years past. They have Dovvik and Zihankov, who had a great connection with each other at Girona. You have then Zinchenko, who's a very experienced player in that team, a good deep-lying playmaker for them. Zudakov, a very talented up-and-coming midfielder from Shakhtar Donetsk. Mudryk, who has played well for the national team and is a dynamic winger, offers something different, offers that pace in behind as well. Then you have a good goalkeepers in Trubin or Lunin, both great picks, both great options, and good defenders in Mikolenko, who had a good season at Everton, Matvienko, who's a good player at Shakhtar Donetsk, Bondar, another good player at Shakhtar Donetsk, Zabarny, who's had a good season at Bournemouth, probably their best up-and-coming defender at the moment, very good on the ball as well. Konoplia, someone who I've recently touted as a cheap alternative for Spurs to be going after as a right back. I do think he's talented. I do think he's quite good and underrated. And then they went very deep last time in the tournament. Ukraine did, so I think that's another reason why I expect them to be a potential dark horse in this one. And the fact that they went so deep last time, and I think they have an even better squad and a better team than they did last time. And I wonder with recent events, them kind of, being a team that everybody would be happy to get behind, would be happy to support. I wonder if they'll catch people by surprise. They have a lot to play for. Top goal scorer, I expected to be Mbappe, mostly because I think France will go very deep into the tournament. I'm pretty sure he takes the penalties for France unless someone else does. If he's taking the penalties for France, I think France would probably get a few penalties. And when it comes to the goal scoring against teams like Austria, who will play a very high line, I wonder if Mbappe would tear them apart. You look at games against Netherlands, they'll rely on him to show up in the big moment. Poland too, they'll just rely on him to score a penalty or score in kind of a clutch moment here and there. I just think Mbappe, if they are to go deep in this tournament, would be the main goal scorer for France. And I don't think that's really much of a surprise to anybody. Breakout stars, I've gone for Lamine Yamal. Huge one there. I think everybody's heard of him, but I think this is his breakout star moment for the world because only so many people really do watch La Liga on a regular basis. And this kid really is absurd and is ridiculous and is the future of the Spanish national team. So I expect him to be the breakout star. If Spain are to go deep at all in this tournament, I think it will be because of Lamine Yamal. That's my prediction. Another player, I think, if a team is going to go deep into the tournament, is going to have a good tournament, would be Xavi Simons for Netherlands. Netherlands, I think, have a very good defense, but the attack I'm a little worried about. Where their other strength is actually in midfield with Reinders as well as Xavi Simons. And I think Xavi Simons had a great season at RB Leipzig. If he can take this Netherlands or that RB Leipzig form and carry it into the Netherlands team, become the new star man, the new face of that team, I wonder if he could be a breakout star in this tournament. And then also Maximilian Bayer for the Germans. This one's a bit more underground, maybe an odd shout. But Maximilian Bayer, he caught my attention at Hoffenheim this last season. I think he had a very good season for them. And I think since playing for the Germans, he's been doing okay, scoring some goals. I wonder if he'll carry that form into this tournament. He might be used as an impact sub. And when the Germans, which I expect them to be, will be desperate for goals because I don't think they'll be that potent. They have so many guys that can score, but not many guaranteed goal scorers. I wonder if when they're looking for that star guy to come off the bench, that guy to make an impact. I wonder if he'll take it. He seems to be that sort of player. And who's the most fun team to watch? Who might be the most exciting team to watch? I've gone for Portugal, that being because Roberto Martinez will open this team up. I don't rate him too much as a manager, but I do think he'll give this team a bit more freedom. And they have so many attacking talents, so many good players to pick from, so many brilliant technical players in this team that they'll just have wonderful goals, I think. And you'll see them really open teams up and just score some spectacular goals and have just spectacular play. So I expect Portugal to be probably one of the more exciting teams to watch. Whereas like France, they've always been very defensive. They've never been that interesting. Germany, I think, will be interesting to watch. I just don't think they'll actually score that many goals. England, kind of something similar where a bit like France, where they have so many talented players, but will they actually be that pleasing on the eye? Will they actually be that pleasant to watch? So I'm gone for Portugal as the team that I think will be the most enjoyable. Croatia, Italy, I think they'll be a bit more boring, a bit more possession based. So yeah, I've gone for Portugal there. Let's move now into my predictions of how I think it will end up finishing out. As you can see, these are my group predictions as I just broke down from earlier. Big up, Tyler. Really appreciate you tuning in, my man. Really do. And Nick Nack saying Belgium should walk this group. Yeah, easy group for Portugal. Turkey and the Czech should surprise people, though. Yeah, Nick Nack, it's a bold prediction, man. I think you and I have agreed with each other at every point up until the Georgians. The Georgians, for some reason, I think they'll be the surprise team of this tournament. They'll not go very far. I think they'll end up getting into the knockout rounds and probably get knocked out early. I just wonder the fact that they have pretty much no reason to be stressed, no reason. It's just a win-win. They can go into it, free hit. I wonder if that's going to help them. Whereas with the Turks, like they have so many fans there, they'll actually have a bit of pressure on them, I think, to get out of this group. And I wonder if they'll fall flat on their faces again, like they have in other tournaments. Um, yeah, maybe Spain could be more suited to Martinez. I don't even rate Martinez that highly. I just think he'll be better for Portugal than the previous managers were. The previous managers were not great for Portugal, and I just think Martinez will be that slight bit better. But yep, these are my group predictions. We went over them earlier. I'm just filling this thing out. And when it comes to which third place teams will finish with the most points, I've boldly gone with Georgia, Serbia, Croatia, and Switzerland. My other third place teams were Romania and Austria. I just think with Romania, I think they'll lose or draw maybe they'll win. I doubt they'll win a game. They'll probably draw. They'll lose both games, and I think they might draw their last game. And then with Austria, I just don't buy the hype. I've seen a lot of hype about them. A lot of people label them as their dark horse. I'm going to put my foot down and say that they won't be, that they'll fail to meet those expectations. And then Serbia, Croatia, Switzerland, Georgia, I think will find a way. But let's continue and let's fill out the bracket. Spain and Switzerland. I expect Spain to get over the line. I don't know why I said Switzerland. Germany, Denmark. I don't have much confidence in the Germans this tournament, but they should be able to get past the Danish there. And Portugal, Serbia. I think Serbia, that's just with that defense. I don't rate that defense too highly. Netherlands and Ukraine. I think Netherlands should be able to get past Ukraine, but I put Ukraine as a dark horse. This one's hard. This one is very hard. I think Netherlands, the fact that I see this one being like a draw and going to extra time. I wonder though with the Ukrainians if they have a good enough coach and if Louis van Gaal would be able to get past them. I'm going to say the Netherlands, just with that unbelievable defense. I think they should be able to be okay. Belgium and Croatia. This one's very hard. With Croatia, they don't really have too many goal scoring options, whereas Belgium do. This one's very difficult. With Croatia, they have a better midfield, but Belgium probably have better scoring options. I'm going to say Belgium for that reason. Better scoring options. Both defenses I don't really rate too highly, so pick your choice there. France and Czech Republic or Czechia. France should go ahead. England and Georgia. England should. I mean, that'd be an amazing feat if Georgia were able to get past England. Hungary and Italy. Italy should be able to get over the line, but I think Hungary would give them a good game. I wonder if that would end up in a draw. Italy and England, a big rematch there. That would be spicy. But let's go back up to the top. Spain and Germany. I don't really rate either of these two teams. Spain, I don't expect to win, and Germany, I don't expect to win the tournament. Probably because in the past, Germany have had Spain's number. I'm going to say Germany. Just when it comes to club football, I think Germans have had the Spain's number in club football in the past. Portugal and Netherlands. It's got to be Portugal, isn't it? Belgium and France. France. Yeah, I don't know why I was stalling over that one. England and Italy. I'm waiting to knock out the English, but I don't think it will be in this game. I think it will be in this one. France, I think, are by far the most balanced team in this tournament. And then I expect the Portuguese to get past the Germans. And then in this final, this one's hard. These are the two. It's just hard because now I've never actually thought about it until this point because these are the two teams I had as my finalists, but I never made a decision until now. Ugh. I'm going to say France. It's my gut feeling. I just, God, I'm torn on this because France, I don't think they're as good as they were in other years. Or like, I think maybe the squad they might have had last time in the World Cup was stronger. I think the World Cup squad they had was stronger. I just wonder with Portugal, though, if Roberto Martinez, will he really take them that far? I doubt it. So I'm just going to say it's going to be France. I really don't like it, though. I'd much rather Portugal win it. But there it is, everybody. There is my prediction. That's it. That's the video. Thanks for joining me for this live stream. Knickknack, Tyler, gone for a Euro 2016 rematch. Yes, I did for the final. That's spicy. I like England versus Georgia. I'd give you guys a much easier matchup with my chances with Georgia. By Georgia finishing third, you guys have a much easier chance of going further into this tournament. Knickknack. But yes, I think I'll leave it there, everybody. We have a TIFO watch along in about 40 minutes time. So join us over there, please, everybody, if you can. It's going to be fun. First Euros of the season, first Euros of the summer. Kick back. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great to be a football fan. Copa America, Euros. I'm looking forward to it. So we'll see you in about 40 minutes time. Hopefully you guys grab a drink, grab a soda, grab something to bite to eat, and Dave and I will see you over there. And I'm going to try to bring some trivia in this little meantime, come up with a bit of that. and I'll pop on over to Tifo. See you later, everybody. Appreciate you guys following me over to this channel. Going to keep these videos coming. Going to try my best with my uploading as best I can and get back into making these videos on this side channel, because this is a great therapy session for me. It's just great to take my mind off of Spurs, just talk about football even more. So hopefully you guys can enjoy. Hopefully you guys can follow along with me. See you next time, everybody. Peace.